see. So after adding a profanity filter to the system, we have a list of our illegal words. This is a safety guard in case AutoMod doesn't block the events, which I feel like it does. But like I said, safety guard, don't want anybody slurring or saying any slurs. That would be bad. So let's see. Right now, the goal is to get it to work with OBS, right? I want a little event window to pop up in OBS for whenever someone says anything or anything like that. That would be fantastic. So we're going to ignore that because we've got all of these going. As an audio source, which is the easiest, I'm not too worried about it being an audio source. I want it to be an actual WebSocket, so that way it can show up on the screen whenever an event occurs. So we need to enable WebSockets and that with Python, your Python script, yada yada. Text source, and then trigger the audio playback. Okay, we'll just say how to use, what is it called? OBS WebSocket. And then I want the actual package. This may be it. We'll go ahead and do it. No, this isn't it. But it is the only thing that I can see. We got the actual GitHub right here. There may be some examples. Samples. Let's see. Events. So in here, we would just log to here, and the password being the OBS password. We'll probably also, loud ass cats. We'll probably also update the config to store this, so that way it has easy access to it. And that way I can actually push this update. Okay, give me just 1 second. I gotta go terrorize a cat. Do it! Do you really gotta be so fucking loud, bro? Roman loves it. Oh, you know what? I actually just turned off the screen. That's amazing.
What, so the call you're talking to the cat?
Yeah, that's goofy as hell.
Do it!
Alright, so the whole idea is to use the WebSocket server here. And we would add, I feel like we would just need to add one of these. There's also a server port, enable authentication. Okay, yeah, this would also need the password. We would need to enable the WebSocket server. Maybe tray alerts? Nah, I'm good. So we'll go ahead and do that. So now it should be active. If I go into here, we can add a source. Maybe a source. I got no idea. And that's what we're here for. We're going to learn. So on switch, got message on event. So this is what we would do. for the events and whatnot. Keyboard interrupt, pass, print OK, sleep that, and this would also register the WebSocket events, the host, port, and password. Okay, that's not too hard and not much different from how we already handle our TTS. So what we're going to do in here is managers, WebSocket manager.py. All right, and we'll go ahead and bring in these. Of course, we would also need to install this. Oh, you know what I forgot to do last time? I forgot to pipe out the requirements. I'll do that as well. Alright. So now we should be able to say, because we're going to, what is the port that this runs on naturally? 4455. We should also add in a proper, like, saved port and maybe even a host. So what we're going to do here is class WebSockets manager. So WebSocket like that. I feel like it is. I feel like it's one word. We'll just do WebSocket. So what do we need for this to function? We're going to need a host, port, I don't know if this has access to shorts. We'll just do int. And a password. And then we want to basically have all of this register and connect and have the lifetime of our bot itself, which is integral, right? So the TTS manager is going to own our WebSocket manager, because without the TTS manager actually reading the events, writing the events to the WebSocket manager, it should not be running. So what we're going to do now is kind of just follow this. We'll do, whoops, hello, I did not mean to do that. Go in here, self.websock equals OBS WebSock host equals host port equals port, the whole shebang, password is password. Do they got any extra variables? Yeah, they do. So I'm just going to define these. Let's see, and then they register the events, right? Let's see, on event, on switch. So the idea is we want to display our TTS, right? And then at the end we also disconnect. We will do We want to register all of these, so we'll do self.websock.connect and should be done very last of inits. So now we can actually register some of our events. This will be def on TTS call. Is it on TTS call? Yeah. Let's go into our TTS manager because this only has access to the definition speak. We will just say, yeah, on TTS call, and we'll change that around a little bit. Let's take in self. What do we need? We need the user, the arguments, and we should also make this return a boolean. Rather than void. So that way we know if it's a success, if it's not, because if it's not a success and there's a slur in it, I don't think that's going to be great. Let's see. Not too worried about that, because all of our temp files also get deleted, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I'm not worried about it at all. We will say return true here. And if we accept, or get an exception, this will just return false. Right, and all code paths are now satisfied. So what we need is the self user args, and we're not going to do anything else from there. I think in the future we can have an extra variable like is subscribed, and it will be a little bit different. Maybe, I don't know, have a different effect to it. But now what we want is let's see, because those are just register, and I reckon that this function only really takes in the message. Let's see. So if I do self.websock.register, let's see what this takes in. Self func event none event manager. What does the event manager want to do with this, right? Register, this appends a functions callback, and what is, whoops, that's built-in. So functions here is just an empty list. So we may be able to have multiple parameters to it, as long as we provide multiple parameters whenever we go to call it, right? That's what data is for, I reckon. Let's see. If trigger is none, or in instance of trigger. What is trigger in this case? Callback and trigger. That's probably I don't know. The arguments. Then we call back with that. Let's see. How would we pack multiple arguments into this? Okay, let's just get a proof of concept working right now. So we'll just take an args. Right, and this will And seeing this, it just prints a message. And then there has to be an external function that will trigger it. Self.websock dot how do we translate this over to an actual thing? Because right now all it would do is just print in this example. So let's do this real quick. How to push OBS WebSockets Pi to OBS. Doing that, setting the password. This would just print WS call get version. Requests.get version. Response get OBS version. Okay, so this is we need requests as well. So we've got events. So this needs to call a request to print something, right? So we say dot call requests dot doesn't really have much in here. This says set current scene, but I don't excuse me. I don't see that actually trying to autocomplete. If I do that, this doesn't even like pull into there at all. Base requests. Base request has data, input, get attribute, class factory, base events. And all these are in the same thing. So this is just to interact with the WebSocket server. Well, that's really what I want, but this is not an actual thing. I feel like this is just lying to me. Let's go back into samples, because I probably missed one. Switch scenes. Requests, set program scenes. It says it's a thing. So, how do I... So I don't want to set the program thing. I want to make something visible for a little bit. And display the like actual text. To set text with OBS WebSocket Pi. See if we do source text, new text, connect there, request, set input settings, input name, source name. Okay, so this is the name of our source, and we can make that static for now. So in here, I want to say requests dot set input. What is that? Set input settings. This would be input name equals. Let's go ahead and get a sample input going. Add source. We will just do regular old text. TTS TXT. We'll just say empty. So that way we know it exists. Right, and I will go ahead, minimize that. TTS TXT. And it also says input setting text, new text. So we'll do input settings t text and we'll just say not empty. And this will already call that. Keep the script from running briefly to see the effect in OBS. Well, this will just be running indefinitely anyways. And this needs to be in a try catch. No, this is just the connect needs to be in a try catch. Right, so we're just going to save that. I'm not too worried about calling any of the arguments just yet. So now what we're going to do is register our event. What does it say to register it as? It doesn't say anything. This is just a random call. Okay, so we'll just register this some other time. And we're just going to let this connect and call this. Right? So in here, in our TTS manager, we will say, after all of that, from managers dot WebSocket manager import WebSocket manager. And up here, instead of passing, we'll say self.websock equals WebSocket manager. This would need a host. Let's see, that means that this would also need. What do we got underneath? Actually, it shouldn't be with the TTS manager. That is a bad move on my part. It needs to be with the actual Twitch client. So we'll do self.websock manager equals WebSocket manager. And this would need a host, self.config. Host. Let's see, what else do we got? Got port. Port equals self.config port. We should also preface this with WebSocket. And we'll probably move some of our actual tokens for Twitch to be TW, so that way we know that it's specifically for Twitch. We'll say password equals self.config WebSocket pass. Right, and this would let us basically just execute this. So what I'm going to do now is pull up the config file and all that. So I'm going to leave the screen blank for a little bit. You guys can just see empty. And we're going to actually set this up. Let's see. And then WebSocket, this would need host port and pass. And this is just local host, WebSocket port. This will run at 4455, just the default. And WebSocket pass. And we need to grab that from OBS. WebSocket settings. Generate a new one. Apply, okay. That didn't work. Let's see. Tools. WebSocket. Show connect info. This appears as an output. Stream recording is currently active. Are you sure you want to do that? Yep. Cool. And then in here, we'll just set this up like so. And it did not save it. This is annoying. Show info. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes. Copy. Alright, getting that off the screen. Getting this off the screen. Making sure that it didn't just move somewhere else. Okay. And we are good to bring the screen back. Hello. Okay, so now what we should be able to see whenever we initialize this with our TTS is a socket handler issue. Refresh token. Oh, that's my bad. I actually went through and swapped these over to TW as well. So that way they can stay completely separated. And I feel like that was my only area. No, there's client ID somewhere. Oh, well, there's also this right here. Right, where else do we got these? Bing bong. like it says that save manager, right? So we will go up into here, managers, save manager, and this needs a couple extra pieces of information. We do that, and we also need to store the WebSocket. This has 3. Alright. So we got WebSocket host. WebSocket port. And then WebSocket pass. Right, and that is that portion. If I build this now and check this, we can see that it's swapped over to not empty. That is amazing. I'm glad that it worked. Okay, so we're going to take this off of screen for now, and we're going to work with this a little bit. Instead of doing this immediately, what we want to do is actually set up a request hook for it. So we'll do self.websock.register. We will register our self.websock. And what kind of events would trigger this? Doesn't say so in here. Kind of event is this? Let's see. Okay, so this isn't an event. This is just straight up a call. Okay. So we register that. And instead of that, what we could do is set this to args. And I've got a small idea for how we're going to handle the username. So in here, whenever we want to run our TTS manager, this is just the speak. This returns a boolean. So in here, we call handle user text ismod parse message. Where do we handle our text to speech? Yeah, that is a very, very good question. I mean, it should be with TTS manager speak whenever we do say. So this is just straight up a function. So what we need to do instead is defer it. So in here, we've got ismod, close, restart. Well, it's really just close and restart. We can say def say. This will take self user as a string, args as a list of strings. Come down here and we could just say, hey, if self dot TTS manager dot speak user and args equals args. We should say, I don't really like nesting too far, so we'll say if not, return. Else we want to push it to our TTS, right? We could say self dot WebSocket manager dot on TTS call, and what this could be is a copy of this. Let's see. To a copy of a list and add a variable to the front in Python. Let's see, plus operator, new variable, plus original list. That is cool. So what we could do here is say we have a list, whoops, with our new variable. This could be user plus args, right? And this can all be wrapped in args equals, we don't have anything else. Or better yet, since we're not actually going to be calling it like that, because we don't even need this to register this as a function, we just need to be able to handle it, right? We can instead have the user args, right? So what this could look like instead, user string, we'll just make this into an F string, so that way we can format it a little bit. We could say user args, get rid of that, and that wouldn't be an issue. So now in here, we just say user equals user args equals args, right? Pretty simple. We got an error, probably just needs to be refreshed. No, it's still an error. So let's do this. Args type string. Oh, that is my bad. This is a list. Of strings, and this needs to actually defer the brackets as well, kind of like how we did with our TTS manager, where we had these separated. We will keep that and say plus this dot join args. Right, so now let's go ahead and close this down real quick. You can see that we're back in here. If I save and maybe run this, we should see that that works. And what we're going to do in here is re-display this. We'll say that we got an error. No? Did I spell it right? I did. So that didn't change it whatsoever. It's a little concerning. So let's see what's going on here. Did I forget to save you? I might have. Command still works, so that's a good sign. Oh, you know what it is? I probably forgot to actually set it. Yep, this only calls the speak, and for some reason it just didn't want to speak to me. So we'll call self.say with this instead. Missing some white space after. What do you mean white space after? Oh, in here. Right, what is... Okay, all of these are hating me right now, but that's fine. So now we'll run this. And we will say, hello world. Worlds. Still empty. That's a little concerning. More concerning than previously. So what's going on here? I mean, our thing is also not even working. So we go into TTS speak. We don't need the WebSocket manager in here. If it's in illegal words, we do that. There is no illegal words in there. Otherwise we return true. We're not getting any errors. So if we go into here, user args, are we passing things along correctly? It looks like we are. We call handle with user text is mod user. So something else must be going on, because I mean it also did not do any text to speech, which is also concerning. So what I'm going to do up here is make sure that we are actually hitting this function. I can't spell. Function hit. Right, and we will just close this real quick. So we do hit the function. And that leads me to believe that we are just returning false, right? Print args. I want to see what it thinks it's hitting, right? It's just saying this is awesome. So this must be the work of our TTS manager, right? If arg.lower in illegal words, should probably do that instead, because that is a red herring. I don't know. I'm just jumbling words together. Let's try it again. This is also registered as illegal. It's a little concerning. Let's see if this is correct. The Jippity. Not quite. I could give that a shot. And then make a mental note that that's how it's supposed to be done. Thank you, boss. Okay. Okay, that worked. And going into OBS, we can see that this is also size, not size. This is also registered, right? And let's see, I'd rather it keep like a multi-line aspect to it. So if I go into properties, can we set it to multi-line? Outline, drop shadow, word wrap. We'll turn that on. Okay. Let's go back into here one more time. Chat log lines. Wonder what chat log mode is. Custom text width. I feel like this may be what I need. Maybe 10? No. How do I do a multi-line text source? Add a GDI plus source. So we don't have text GDI plus. It might be a package. OBS Studio Arch. And customize it in the property windows. Read file. Formatting and positioning. Use the properties menu to add outlines, align adjustments, or that. I didn't see any of that in here. I could just be dumb. So we're not going to do it from a file. Outline, drop shadow. I don't see anything where it's like, oh, you could do this, you could do that. It's about drive, it's about power, that kind of shit. So I don't want to have to install anything because I'm going to have to end stream and recording. So for now, this is how it will work. I'll do some offline research for it. I just wish there was a maximum scale that I can give to it. Scaling, filtering, blend mode, set color. Hey, how's it going? The thing is still running. If you do exclamation mark say, you can send chats. I am on Arch. What do you think about it? Like, I personally got me a new laptop for school, and I was previously using Ubuntu, but I immediately swapped over to Arch. I haven't tried Sway yet. Let's see. I'm not too worried about the auth tokens anymore. See, I tried moving over to i3 because I used to use it all the time whenever I was experimenting with a Raspberry Pi. And I was really used to it back then, but whenever I swapped over to an actual desktop environment, I lost the knowledge, the reflexes to be able to use it. Uh, I think I use Arch install. It's been a minute. I've been on this operating system for a hot minute for this. Like it came with Windows, and I immediately swapped it over for Linux. It's like I can't deal with the bloatware. I don't mind it. It's better than using a Falcon. Although Falcon is just as handy because it also remembers your place. But that's the only reason why I use it. It remembers my place, and I have a easy VPN. Florp. It's a funny sounding name. Yeah, whoops. There we go. Let's see. I've got it working with OBS. It's displaying messages. I think that's all there really is for it, honestly. Second worst. That's rude. Opera GX. Opera beats Opera GX. Yeah, they don't even have Opera GX on Linux. I don't mind it. I don't even use any of the customizations for this either. Since you're here, could I get you to test this to see if it works with regular users? Because I've only been using mine, and I'm trying to make it to where that mods can use regular functions without locking them out, and regular functions can be used. Yeah, it's a say. Awesome. I appreciate that. Although I am curious, because this didn't update until after. I wonder if the code is polling. Because it shouldn't be unless I have it set to. This is slow, false. Oh, I don't even know if this is a polling function. It sure is. This is blocking. This means that it pauses code execution, backend dependency, simple audio or pi audio. Falls back to the command line tool for playback regardless. It's asynchronous. Non-blocking alternatives. I could just run this in its own async function, but the only issue is it returns immediately. So I wonder if I could do async io dot run, right? And we don't have async in this. Type none. Yeah, that wouldn't work because it's not an async function. It's kind of annoying. Let's see. The only real exceptions I feel are going to be converting it into an MP3 or if the file just doesn't exist. Okay, actually, it shows me it right here. Jesus. So instead of doing just straight up play, we could say audio thread equals threading dot thread target equals play. And my guess is it doesn't really need to be a specific function like how the thing is. And args will be audio. So instead of doing that, we could say args equals audio. Does that work? And then we just start the thread and wait for audio audio to finish. So this may need to be set up a smidge differently, because if we return from this function, then it's just not going to work. Oh, hold on a second. I use just console, the built-in for KDE, and I use Kvantum to actually make it transparent. Cool retro term. What does that look like? Okay, so for now, it looks like it's going to be polling. Another thing that we could try out is to delay this. We should have a def can speak. And this would just take in the arguments. Surgs. A list of strings. I'll have to look into that. Because, I mean, I do like this terminal. I'm most familiar with it, but it's just a terminal. It's easy to basically learn any other. Hold phosphorus monitors? That's crazy. args list string. This also needs self. There we go. So instead of doing that, what we can do in here, let's remove the Boolean aspect of this, because this no longer needs to return anything. And we can just say in our say function, we will see if can speak, then we will pass arguments. I'm not going to print the arguments anymore. I'm not going to worry about saying that we hit the function either. I haven't given it much thought. I know both of those are more focused on privacy, but it's not been on the top of my mind. Okay, so after we send that to the WebSocket, we should say self.tts manager speak. Right, and we'll just basically run it one after the other instead. They plant a tree. Ooh. That actually sounds nice. Alright, 1 second for this. So now, oh, that's sweet. What's this going on about? Twitch, internal socket handler, refresh token. Let's see, we get certificate verify failed. Let's try this one more time. There we go. I'm glad that it could just be fixed. Ew, Bing is a gross browser. So I'm going to have this primed up real quick and we're going to see. There we go. And we don't got to worry about it polling or anything because, of course, it happens after the text update. Imagine using Yahoo as a browser.
Imagine having a Yahoo email.
Like, dinosaurs use Yahoo. It's like, and I don't know about you, but I'm not prehistoric. Alright. Well, that is about what I wanted to get done. I do have some other plans today, and I'll probably be back on tonight to add some more things as I come up with them. I do appreciate you stopping by, helping me test this out a little bit. Imagine the combo. Yahoo with Slackware as a distro. That is gross. I can't even imagine that. You just get ads every 5 seconds. It's like, hey, here's the stock market. Hey, did you know what Mark Zuckerberg said about Donald Trump, who also said something about Elon Musk? It's like, that sounds like torture. But yeah, I'm going to call it here for now, and we'll pick this up later. Later.